Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blur, aka Blue Justice, and I am from the likes of the Mexi Toys videos, as you probably expect at this point in time. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Sonic Frontiers for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PC Steam, and finally, of course, the Nintendo Switch. So, last time, we've essentially did manage to finally wrap things up everything for the likes of Iris Island, despite the fact that we do need to pick up some more music notes every once in a while. And after that, we did somehow finally made our way back to the Forms of Chaos Island to able to fetch some more memory tokens in there. In addition to that though, also we managed able to complete some of those action chain challenges here and there, despite the fact that I just somehow got a lot of distraction about the forms of this amazing Nintendo Direct that we had, since I've already mentioned about this ever since in yesterday. So even then though, yeah, today for this video is about the fact that, or specifically for today for this episode, is that we're going to be able to continue exploring for the Forms of Chaos Island, and exponentially we're also able to grab some even more memory tokens. In addition to that, we also decided able to do some action chain challenges here and there. So yeah, that's what we're going to be aiming for, especially concerning about the fact that, oh, and also I forgot to mention about this as well, that we somehow wrap things up everything for Big's Fishing. So that means about the fact that we don't have to come back in here for some time, at least assuming so anyway. So, but even then though, yeah, not much else is going on at the moment, apart from the fact that there's one in particular thing I surprisingly forgot to, say about this ever since during the forms of in yesterday's video, is that, well, first of all, if you're probably wondering about the fact that, when are you going back into Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania? Well, as it turns out about the fact that we are currently still going to be busy playing through Sonic Frontiers for some time, especially because, you know, DLC 3 is going to be on its way. So, but even then though, it might be a perfect opportunity that maybe at some point until next week, I might able to actually decide to finish the main story campaign before we dive right into the forms of the third and final free DLC update once that particular thing comes out. So, but even then though. Oh, in addition to that though, is about the fact that Silver did say on its spare time, or should I say off screen or something like that, Silver, he's finally going to be prepared, able to finally going back onto Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania after so many weeks or so many days. Then he's obviously going to be ready for the Ultimate Challenge up ahead until tomorrow. So because of this though, yeah, because relatively speaking, I was about the fact that hopefully he'll finish up that particular Let's Play before we move on to the next selections of Let's Plays, and maybe concerningly, that we might able to actually do a lot of Let's Plays in the future for 2024 and onwards. Well, it depends really. So, but even then though, today's date is of course the 16th of September today, in some cases in 2023 today. Now, if you guys are probably wondering about the fact that, well, if you couldn't tell already, this is my second attempt for this recording session. Nothing to do with the actual capture card glitches or anything, luckily. It's just that, once again, my microphone has been glitchy sometimes. So as a result, I might have to redo that particular take as much as I wanted to. Especially it's mainly because of the forms of my laptop is actually getting to its age at this rate. Mainly because about the fact that we had that laptop for 10 years now, and maybe we'll able to upgrade a new laptop at some point until next year. Although luckily we still managed able to get ourselves the actual CD-ROM download thing for Roxo Game Capture HD Pro, luckily. So if I somehow manage to get a new laptop at some point, then luckily we'll able to actually install that again. So, but this time on a different laptop or something. Not exactly sure what brand I'm going for, but we'll have to wait and find out. So, but even then though, yeah, let's get to the forms of that particular discussion I somehow forgot to mention about during the course of yesterday's video, and that's what appears to be the next batch of Amiibo lineup, which as a result, they've shown us the actual release date for the likes of the forms of both Zelda and Ganondorf, based off from the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Amiibos. Those two are going to be releasing in exactly the same day as WarioWare Move It, specifically 3rd of November. So yeah, that's actually a pretty good release when it comes to like both Wario and Zelda related. And after that, they've shown us the actual amiibo of, based off from the likes of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So as a result, they've shown us the forms of Mio and Noah, I think is what it says anyway. And they both are going to be releasing until next year, specifically January 19th of 2024. And finally, most importantly, is none other than, well, Sora as an amiibo has finally exists. And as a result, he's definitely the last part of the forms of the Super Smash Bros. Amiibo lineup after all. Now, in terms of the release date though, it's also going to be releasing in 2024, but on the other hand, it doesn't show us specific dates just yet. Although, what I've noticed about the fact that in terms of the actual packaging itself, unlike in any other variants, specifically Cloud and Bayonetta and maybe Corrin as well, or something like that, it only contains one variant, and that's what it appears to be based off from Kingdom Hearts 1, which I'm alright about it, especially because I almost assumed they were trying to do like a multi-pack, or should I say the Ultimate 8 pack as far as I'm concerned, that does come with Ultimate, you know, all 8 variants of Sora. Or maybe it might be a bit too much. So because of that though, I'm perfectly fine with one variant for now, for the likes of Sora anyway. So, and I'm definitely gonna able to try to get him as an amiibo collector. So just to ensure I can able to use him in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate most likely. So, but even then though, and there's also another thing I surprisingly did not even realize, is about the fact that I'm not exactly sure if how the fact that when it comes to like other titles coming out for it, like specifically with Super Mario RPG in mind. Oh, and speaking of Super Mario RPG, what I found out is about the fact that we actually got ourselves some brief information about that game as well. Apparently though, is about the fact that not only we do have the option that we do have actually got ourselves a difficulty setting this time around. Like usually you get about 2 difficulty settings, you know, much like the forms of how it does on most games nowadays, like Klonoa, and as well as the forms of, let's just say, Mario & Luigi Dream Team, Paper Jam, Superstar Saga 3DS, and Bowser's Inside Story 3DS. They obviously do manage able to get not only normal mode, but also easy mode to make things a little bit easier if you're having a tough time for certain bosses. So, but also is about the fact that you can actually choose the actual remastered soundtrack or the original OST, stands for original soundtrack. So because of this though, yeah, it's pretty nice to able to actually have ourselves both remastered music and the original Super Nintendo soundtrack as far as I'm concerned. So, but even then though, I'm perfectly happy about that. And also, if I've heard, the Japanese website of Super Mario RPG has now been a public. So even then though, that's actually pretty good as far as, you know, having websites in mind. So yeah, I'm very, very, very happy about that. So, but even then though, and I suppose, generally speaking though, is about the fact that, in addition about the fact that I think considerably that we do have some slight Japanese announcements during the course of in a Japanese version of that specific Nintendo Direct. But unfortunately though, I can't name a few of them. But I do know for certain for one game in particular called Sorin the Wanderer 6 has been announced for the Switch. So, but even then though, I think it's like, I don't know about you, because I don't know anything about the forms of Japanese exclusive stuff for some time. Or perhaps maybe because about the fact that I was really into the forms of some, you know, cool nostalgia memories for the sake of the forms of certain games that have been brought back onto the Switch. And yeah, believe me, it is, you know, pretty exciting, all things considered, like I said before, so. Anyway though, let's get to the forms of another topic at this point today. Now, surprisingly, I also forgot to mention about that as well. There are some final results. During the course of ever since on Monday, where basically there's a Splatfest that has already been over. And that's what it appears to be based off on 3 mascots in junior forms of Splatoon 3 in mind. And the winner of that particular team was, surprisingly enough, Team Shiver. I'm not exactly sure how though, but even then though, I just got no words to think about it. Despite I don't usually play online stuff as much as I do, but regardless of everything else though, it's kind of weird able to actually just to get that team a bit of a winner syndrome. And there's also another thing that's worth noting for is about the fact that, well, thank goodness they did somehow manage to fix Avatar Aang in the forms of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 when it comes to its facial expressions. Because what I've noticed is that the original game, that, you know, Avatar Aang, looks a bit weird in during forms within the original game, whilst thankfully the sequel, you know, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, finally fixes that particular facial expression problem. So, and also with the lighting as well. So even then though, yeah, I'm very pleased able to know that's been fixed. So, and apparently though, is about the fact that we actually got ourselves some tons of Apple stuff as being just recently came to be. Although before I get into more details onto this though, well, suffice to say, better late than never I suppose, but happy 20th anniversary of the Steam's existence, which as a result, yeah, it's been 20 years ago since when PC Steam has first became a thing. So, has it been like since in 2003? So, gee, time flies, you know, especially concerning that, well, for some odd reason, I did not notice that Steam exists until the 2010s, where obviously when I see some gameplay footage of Sonic Generations, it's 60 FPS, and as a result, it's something relates to PC. So even then though, that, yeah, kind of amazing to able to celebrate the 20-year mark for the Steam itself. So even then though, despite I don't normally use PC gaming as much as the actual game consoles, including a hybrid Nintendo Switch that often, but even then though, still, I wouldn't complain too much. So anyways, let's get into the forms of some Apple announcements they have, you know, with making smartphones and all that crazy shenanigans and stuff like that. Somehow, iPhone 15 became Strobe, which we've already predicted that, especially because about the fact that I almost assumed they were trying to able to go more obscure, like iPhone Ultra or something, but nope, it continues that particular number installment when it comes to iPhone models yet again. So, but even then though, geez, I can't even believe we're now on to iPhone 15. So, it's pretty crazy kind of thinking about it, and what's even crazier is that it's going to be releasing in the 22nd of September, which means it's roughly the exactly same day as the physical version of Pikmin 1 plus 2 for the Nintendo Switch. So, yeah, in terms of new features they added in, well, to be more specifically, I've only found one of those informations based off from the likes of iPhone 15 Pro Max, as far as I'm concerned. So, even then though, they do feature stuff like, obviously the main camera with 48 MP, and also always on display, all day battery life, and 5 times telephoto on Pro Max. And there's also the forms of a special chip called A17 Pro, and also about the fact that there's also a super high resolution photos, and also they feature a Wi-Fi 6E, and also they somehow managed able to got Pro Motion. Okay, and there's also a new feature, and that's what appears to be Action Button, which as a result, I'm guessing because the actual alarm switch is no longer existent during the forms of iPhone 15 Pro Max. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy, and I think you can able to do all sorts of things with the Action Button. So, yeah, it seems kind of crazy. However, there's one significant difference between the previous iPhones ever since iPhone 5 all the way up to iPhone 14. Yes, the actual charging port has now changed significantly. So as a result, it's no longer going to have the exact same connection as the forms of how it does it on iPhone 5 all the way up to iPhone 14 Pro. So now we have to rely on the similar connection from the likes of the Nintendo Switch itself. That's of course the USB-C itself. So yeah, it looks like future generations has to come when it comes to like how these different systems work, and maybe potentially just try to do all sorts of things here and there. So yeah, in terms of the forms of other stuff they brought out, aside from the fact that I've already mentioned about the forms of iPhone 15 Pro Max, and they're also going to bring iPhone 15 Pro, and also they also bring ourselves iPhone 15 Plus and iPhone 15 itself. So yeah, I guess there's not much else to say about them, honestly. I mean, yeah. And also, what I've noticed is that during the course of the Apple event presentation, I love the fact that with Mario Kart Tours being shown, on the actual display on iPhone 15 it actually looks like. So, kind of random, but hey, at least it's kind of cool to able to see Mario Kart Tour that's on there on the actual screenshot and stuff like that. Oh, talking of Mario Kart Tour, actually, I was gonna originally try to able to mention about this now, but I think I should probably able to actually just mention more on that until on a later date. Specifically on Monday, potentially speaking, because obviously, like I said before, Silver is now going to be ready to go back onto Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, just in case he definitely needs to finish off that particular game before we move on to other selections of Let's Plays, before we move on to 2024 and beyond. And man, there's a lot of Let's Plays I can possibly think about for doing, but even then though, I need to wait for that, especially because I don't want to spoil things too much, so anywho though, so yeah, there's also yet another thing that's been announced during the course of the Apple event, and that's what appears to be none other than an Apple Watch Series 9. So as a result, not only does it contain, I don't know about you, because I don't know exactly how do I think about the phones of Apple Watch Series 9 as much as the phones of the iPhones, but it's also going to be releasing on the 22nd of September as well. And I suppose that there's actually, like, quite a few stuff worth noting for. But I do know for certain, for one thing, there's also Apple Watch Ultra 2 is also there. And as far as I'm aware, it's also going to be releasing on the 22nd of September. So, yeah, one of those Apple devices to go alongside with Pikmin 1 plus 2 Switch ports of any sort. Yeah, that's pretty insane when it comes to the forms of major releases during that time. Oh, and also they decided able to now upgrade the actual storage for iCloud Plus. Specifically, they now added in 2 different terabyte modes. There is 6 terabytes and now 12 terabytes. So, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. You know what I'm saying with terabytes looks like. It's like something number related TB. So yeah, that pretty much stands for terabytes. So anyway, that's actually pretty cool. There's also another thing I should probably explain about this as well, is about the fact that, well, exponentially speaking though, is about the fact that, yeah, let's talk about the forms of certain DVD releases, including 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays, and especially noticeable with this ridiculous thing has been announced by Disney itself. Well, first of all, let's get into the forms of certain release date updates for certain films alike. Like, for instance, in terms of DVD selections, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 has been confirmed its release date for the DVD and Blu-ray and all that, and I think that's going to be releasing until at some point on the 6th of November, which is roughly 3 days after WarioWare Move It will be releasing during that time. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to getting that on DVD, especially considering that I'm still waiting for Part 2 to be releasing next year on the big screen. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. So, and also, that Elemental, I first thought that originally that Elemental was supposed to be able to be releasing during the midway portion of October in the UK version as far as I'm talking about. As it turns out, the DVD just somehow pushes forward for the actual release date, and that's going to be releasing this time on the 9th of October. So yeah, pretty insane if you ask me. And in addition to that though, there's also another DVD is going to be releasing at some point on the 9th of October as well, usually I'm referring to as the UK's release in that time period. That's what appears to be by the forms of Teenage Kraken. So despite that particular film got a massive box office bombs, so but even then though, yeah, that particular film is also going to be releasing on the 9th of October as well. So, oh, and the last thing I want to bring this up is that there is this film called Hotel Transylvania, Transformania. That's also going to be confirmed on 9th of October's release, despite the fact that for the longest time it was being stuck onto the forms of video on demand during the forms of the streaming services or something like that. Well, it finally gets its DVD physical release now, so even then though, yeah, it's about time to able to actually finally get ourselves the 4th and probably the final installment of the Hotel Transylvania film series for that departure for the likes of the actual DVD, Blu-ray releases, you name it. So Anyway, there's also, I would say this is the last, DVD I want to bring this out, and that's what appears to be by the forms of Asteroid City. That particular film is going to be releasing at some point on DVD and Blu-ray and you name it, until specifically on the 25th of September. So, yeah, it doesn't seem that's going to be that long to able to actually get that thing to be released. So, and let's talk about the forms of the 4K Ultra HD releases, starting with The Nightmare Before Christmas. That film, surprisingly enough, also decides able to release at some point on the 9th of October as well. Seriously, we're gonna get a gem-packed full of content in terms of the forms of October stuff during that time. So, yeah, it's pretty insane if you ask me, especially concerning about that particular point where obviously about the fact that we're able to get, you know, a lot of stuff in general. Oh, and on top of that, there's also going to be Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is also going to be releasing on 4K Ultra HD until specifically the 16th of October. So, yeah, pretty insane for all these specific releases during and stuff in particular. So, anyway, let's get the actual elephant in the room for a second there, because out of nowhere, Disney decided able to release the Ultimate DVD compilation, specifically Disney Legacy Animated Film Collection. So as a result, what does it contain on there? 100 films in the entire collection. So yeah, let's run down the list, shall we? So, obviously, not only does it contain the animated movies, specifically, you know, with the actual chronological animated lineup for Disney themselves, but also, they decided able to include not only certain direct-to-DVD movies or something like that, but also, they decided to bring Pixar films this time around. So, yeah, that's something. So yeah, some films include, you know, like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio, Fantasia, and Dumbo, Bambi, as well as the films of Gelados, Amigos, the four Calabrios, I think is what it says anyway. Make Mine Music, Fun and Fantasy Free, and Melody Time, The Adventures of Chirobo and Mr. Toad, I think it's what it says anyway. Again, I apologize for that mispronunciation of certain films, by the way, because I've never actually seen those films. It's like a compilation short films into one package, basically, because I never exactly watched any of these aside from one. So, but even then, also Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, and Lady and the Tramp, and Sleeping Beauty, and 101 Dalmatians, The Sword in the Stone, The Jungle Book, The Aristocats, Robin Hood, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, The Rescuers, The Fox and the Hound, The Black Cauldron, The Great Mouse Detective, and Oliver and Company, and also we've got The Little Mermaid, The Rescuers Down Under, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin, and surprisingly enough, The Nightmare Before Christmas is now included. Okay, that seems interesting enough. And also The Lion King, very obvious, and A Goofy Movie, and Pocahontas, Toy Story is actually on there, and James and the Giant Peach. Something tells me about the fact that with that particular massive DVD compilation, it's going to be an US exclusive, because there are certain films got distribute from Disney or something. So anyway, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, Mulan, A Bug's Life, Tarzan, and Toy Story 2, Fantasia 2000, The Tigger Movie, Dinosaur, The Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis The Lost Empire, Monsters Inc., Return to Neverland, Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet, The Jungle Book 2, Piglet's Big Movie, Finding Nemo, and also Brother Bear, Home on the Range, oh, don't even get me started on that, The Incredibles, Pooh's Heffalump Movie, Chicken Little, oh, don't even get me started on that either, Cars, Meets the Robinsons, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Tinkerbell, Bolt, Up, The Princess and the Frog, Toy Story 3, Tangled, Cars 2, Winnie the Pooh 2011 version, Brave, Frankenweenie, Wreck-It Ralph, Monsters University, Planes, Frozen, Planes, Fire and Rescue, Big Hero 6, Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur, Zootopia, Finding Dory, And we still got more films to go for this point, folks. Moana, Cars 3, and Coco, Incredibles 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, Onward, Soul, Raya and the Last Dragon, Luca, Encanto, Turning Red, Lightyear, Strange World, and finally Elemental. God, that was a mouthful. And luckily they did not include the actual any live-action movies at all, so at the very least I do appreciate about that. One thing is a little bit strange to me though, is that for some reason they've never actually included the previous direct-to-DVD movies, like The Return of Jafar, Aladdin and the King of Thieves, or what was the other one exactly? I can't even remember right now, because I know for a fact I haven't used Disney Plus for some time, and also they did not include Bambi 2 either, so even then, no, I'm guessing because, well, they only suggest like the top 100 kind of stuff, so even then, no. And what's even ridiculous than that though, not only does it show us the release date for it, and that's going to be releasing on November 14th, so I guess that's something, so it's like 3 days before Super Mario RPG Remake on the Switch, but the ridiculous part about this, the price tag. Do you know how much that particular Disney Legacy Collection is about to cost you? Well, specifically for those of you who live in North America, well, it is $1,500. My god, why did they come up with that idea? I mean, some people might not gonna get it because obviously they've already subscribed to the forms of Disney Plus already. So, let's be honest here, I think this particular collection is a neat idea, and it does comes with certain things inside it, but I will admit though, it's definitely not worth it, especially noticeable because you've already got all of those gem-packed full of content in Disney Plus, so for me, I'm probably not going to recommend it, especially because, well, you've already experienced those films before, not only for its individual releases, but it's also on Disney Plus itself. So, seriously, whoever thought that was a good idea? I know they're trying to celebrate the, you know, the 100th anniversary of, you know, the Walt Disney itself, but seriously, that price, man, it's just out of hand, you know. Anyway, though, and also, I was originally able to explain something related to the forms of state of play presentation that's been just happened about a couple of days ago, but I think it's probably best if I'll mention about that until for later. So. But anyway though, in terms of the forms of the Nintendo Direct itself, in terms of September already, we on the 8th year in a row in terms of the forms of specific Directs came out during September. Well, unless if you technically want to say the 7th year in a row, at least if you don't want to count 2020 because that was the pandemic year after all. So, but even then, no, that must have been said something. Oh yeah, let's talk about the forms of Mario Kart Tour for a bit before I start able to discuss upon the next tour is going to be like. And obviously the next tour is going to be anniversary tour to celebrate the 4-year anniversary of the game's release. And what I've noticed is that while looking back on the forms of, let's just say, Sunday tour that we're still on at the moment, it seems as it turns out, this is actually the final tour, specifically the Sunday tour most likely, is that will be the final tour to able to introduce the remix course, specifically that Vanilla Lake 2 remix is definitely going to be the last remix theme track. So yeah, that's all I can really think about it, and that's the perfect example of why I'm going to be saving that particular conversation until for right now anyway, is that as it turns out, not only we're about to be getting the anniversary tour coming up, but also during a couple of weeks time we're about to get the battle tour, strangely, and even a Halloween tour, and there's a reason for that, because, exponentially speaking though, is that the anniversary tour coming up, it's definitely going to be the last tour, or the final tour, to able to bring something new in terms of content-wise. Like, for instance, I will briefly mention one thing. That's what appears to be about the fact that in terms of new content we're about to be getting for the anniversary tour, and that, ladies and gentlemen, not only we're about to be getting the third and probably the final variant of Athens Dash, but also Gold Mario is finally become playable outside of the forms of Coin Rush. So yeah, we can now finally get a chance to play as Gold Mario for the final tour in terms of new content. So even though that most people might get bummed about the fact that we're probably not going to get EGAD or Luma or anyone else for that matter, but even then no. And that's the reason for it, is because eventually at some point until the next couple of weeks, including October, November, and all that stuff, suffice to say, Mario Kart Tour's new content was about to come to a close, and as a result, that all you will be going to be getting in the future tours, specifically the repeated tours most notably, is that, well, you'll be able to see the exactly same content as you saw from the past tours, meaning that they're not going to bring brand new content, including characters, carts, gliders, and tracks. So yeah, it looks like this is gonna be the end, folks, in terms of Mario Kart Tour content, including Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Booster Course Pass, DLC, and stuff like that. Like, I'm still happy for, you know, 4 new characters were gonna be added in. So, I almost assume about the fact that it's gonna be, like, a grand total of, like, I don't know, 8 DLC characters, which is quite more compared to the forms of how it does it on the original Mario Kart 8 DLC. Like, back during the forms of in the Wii U version of Mario Kart 8, DLC department, you're only going to be getting 6 characters, but I'm very glad about the fact that in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, we're getting a grand total of like, well, let's just say in Wave 4 that we've got 1, which is of course Bodo, and in Wave 5 we've got 3, which is of course Wiggler, PD Piranha, and Kamek. And now, Wave 6, we're getting 4, which we've already mentioned about this before. Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, Pauline, and Peachette. Even though I'm a little bit bummed out about the fact that it's kind of unfortunate that Dixie Kong is probably not going to make it. Although, imagine if Dixie Kong will be on there, then that'll be the entire Kong members when it comes to experiencing Mario Kart. But we were pretty close though. I'm guessing because they want to go for a nostalgia-like theme to it though, when it comes to that particular recent Nintendo Direct and all that, so oh yeah, and as to be expected in the Japanese version of that particular Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door Remaster Switch trailer, it was expecting to call it Paper Mario the Paper Mario RPG, so even then though it makes it a little bit more obvious, so but either way, that's what I can really think about it, so but even then though, I would have liked to explain about the last few new contents they'll bring us something into for the actual Mario Kart Tour's next tour. But as I said before, I'll save that particular topic for the later day. So, but even then, no. And, yeah, that's actually, quite something, I suppose. So, but even then, no, yeah, that's what I can really think about it. So, although there's actually another thing I should probably address something as well, is that for some reason is that everyone else seemed to really dislike one of those Sonic fan games, which is a game called Sonic Omens, which I have no idea why a lot of people did not really like that game that much in terms of Sonic fan games as far as I'm concerned. Not exactly sure why though, but at least it's difficult to explain. So, but even then, no. Oh, and another thing too is about the fact that, yeah, better late than never, I suppose. Especially noticeable because, again, we just got back from a small holiday break. So as a result, it seems that Kids WB did somehow became 28 years old since, I would say, since 1995, at least as far as I'm concerned anyway. Because I know for a fact that that particular logo catches me in the eye, because obviously I've noticed that particular Kids WB because of the Pokemon movies I usually still got with me, which as a result about the fact that you know what I'm saying. But anywho, I suppose that's about it when it comes to the forms of certain conversations alike. Although there's actually technically one last thing I want to address something as well. That's what appears to be about the fact that, well, it seems to be more specifically that when it comes to the forms of, there's a game called Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, It seems that that particular game is probably going to get the physical version not only on the Nintendo Switch, but also on Xbox One / Xbox Series X / S, but also on the PlayStation 5. So I can assure you that particular physical version of the game is expecting to be releasing on December 5th this year. So yeah, I guess that's something. So, either way though. And, relatively speaking, I was about the fact that one thing I surprisingly forgot to mention about this as well is about the fact that, did you know, it's been about, let's just say, 5 years ago since, the September Nintendo Direct back in 2018. I would have liked able to do a massive recap on it though, but I think I might as well do that in a later time, especially concerning about the particular point that, at this point in time is about the fact that we've almost nearly finished up everything for the sake of the forms of Sonic Frontiers, at least specifically in terms of the forms of content and what have you. So, either way though. Oh, and also another thing too is about the fact that I'm pretty much in the middle of something. In regards of the forms of the Ranked Cup battle, or the Ranked Cups ranking for the second week for the likes of the forms of the Sunday Tour in Mario Kart Tour. And as it turns out that the reward for that, if I'm assuming I need to aim for either second or first place, it seems that Gold King Bob-omb is going to be making on there. And I'm really hoping I need to get gem packed for points before I decide to get it, because if I don't, I'm essentially going to say I'm going to quit that game. Although, I'm not exactly sure about the fact that if Gold Mario is going to be a thing after all, and I'm not exactly sure what the Mii Racing suit is going to be like. I suppose that particular topic that can be waited for. I'm really hoping that Gold Mario will not be locked out in the forms of the stupid Ranked Cup system, which as a result, because still, I'm just not a big fan of that particular Ranked Cups department, because there are a couple of times I keep on getting myself, you know what I mean, screwed over by the forms of RMG, or just bad luck in general. So, but even then, no. Oh, another thing is worth noting for the most annoying part about the forms of Chaos Island, I will admit though right away, is that if you accidentally touch the lava, you lose some of your progress, if you're assuming, of course, if you dare touch the lava. So, sometimes though, you got able to recollect specific memory tokens, or to be more specifically, you need able to, like, do all this progression again, just in case you do need able to catch up and what have you. So that could be kind of stingy when it comes to likely just keep your certain collectibles alive, or to be more specifically, just anything in general. So kind of stingy though, but hopefully by that time, once we get to Aranos' island, then we can definitely surely to say that we'll definitely able to wrap things up everything in terms of the forms of the entire completion runs for, you know, multiple objectives here and there. So yeah, I guess that's the primal reason about the fact that most people seem to go back into Sonic Frontiers every now and then, especially with more content is now a thing. So anyway though, yeah, that's about it basically. So, but even then, no. Also, that the Pokemon is actually getting a surprise crossover kind of syndrome, and that's what appears to be something relates to like an artist specifically, like Van Gogh Museum. So that's going to be taking place in Amsterdam itself, which is obviously in Netherlands. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see that Pokemon artist were able to make it on there. So anyway though, oh, there's also another game is also going to be on its way and doing in 2024, specifically spring next year, and that's going to be a game that's usually based on the game that was originally going to be released on the Sega Dreamcast, and as a result it's a 3D shoot-'em-up game, and that's going to call it Rainbow Content. So yeah, pretty interesting to able to get the Dreamcast game to be ported over onto the Nintendo Switch of all things. So yeah, it's kind of crazy though. And did you know it's also been a year ago since when the September Nintendo Direct in 2022 rolls around? Despite how looking back on it though, it just feels very lackluster while looking back, especially because not only in the UK version did somehow manage to delay that presentation because of the, you know, Queen Elizabeth II's death, which obviously is understandable because we need to be respectful for her because she's the most important thing in the entire history. But also about the fact that it has so many farming simulations, which, let me tell you, I don't think I can probably rewatch that particular direct anymore after seeing this superior not only 2021 September Direct, but also the 2023 September Direct, which I must say that the 2022 one, for the likes of the September Direct, it just feels one of the weakest in terms of the September, you know, Nintendo Direct presentations as far as I'm concerned, because it just simply just becomes like a snore fest nowadays, so... But, yeah, in terms of the forms of what's gonna be up next for Nintendo Direct these days, well, honestly, we've pretty much done everything for the Nintendo Direct selections in 2023. And for my thoughts of any of them, I will say the best one, it still pretty much have to be the June one, and I will say the second best being the recent one, the September one, and the Super Mario Bros. Wonder, it's really amazing. And probably the February Nintendo Direct is a decent one, but it's just about the fact that there's a lot of lack of Mario stuff during the beginning portion of the year. I get it because the movie is going to be on its way, so even then no, but now the movie is now a thing, so that means they now bring back a lot of Mario content now, so even then no. Now, I was expecting if there was going to be yet another Mario Party game, or perhaps even maybe they'll try to save it up for the next generation of consoles, or maybe they'll try to save it up for later, for 2024, because they obviously keep on doing the 3-year gap with most Mario Party games nowadays. I almost assume they're going to be bringing one in each and every single year, much like the old days, but it seems they're going in a different direction when it comes to release schedules, so... And what I found was a little bit weird too is that with that particular Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door remaster on the Switch, that is also in the actual 4-year gap situation for the sake of the forms of the releases in between, you know, most of these Paper Mario games, which, seriously, that's pretty strange. But anywho though, enough about that particular strange year gap in between, kind of scenario like this. Yeah, that's why I agreed to talk about this for this point today, folks. I mean, I would have liked able to explain something else, like, you know, certain announcements they brings us into for the State of Play, PlayStation Showcase thing, but then again, though, it's probably best for me to able to save that particular topic until specifically until on Monday, like I said before, especially because that, you know, it's a good thing that we decide to come back into Sonic Frontiers every now and then after that particular Nintendo Direct has now became a thing, and on top of that, with the forms of some more stuff has been happening, because obviously without those, there will be a pretty awkward commentary during the forms of this entire process of not only completing most of those action chain challenges, and also just trying to collect some more memory tokens, essentially. But regardless of such, though, is about the fact that it's been a nice little pleasure surprise to able to notice that, well, you know what I'm saying. So, but even then, though, although exponentially, I was expecting to try to go after the next trophy I need to get, which it needs to be required able to get up to, like, Phantom Rush for about 50 or so times. However, I'm probably going to save that for later, once I'm done with this entire completion is done for all these islands in between. So just in case, I just want to get the quickest thing out of the way before we move on to the last thing during the course of being the Ironosis Island, at least assuming if on the forms of, you know, DLC Update 3 is going to be on its way, so but even then though, but then again though, that particular topic can wait, so... And relatively speaking though, it's about the fact that it's a good thing that not only did I somehow finish up with Super Mario RPG before the Switch remake is to be on its way, but also it's a good thing that Capkeem74, he also finished up the forms of one of those Mario RPG games, specifically Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, as soon as the actual remastered just somehow, well, became a thing. So, although I was expecting about the fact that Metroid Prime 2 and Metroid Prime 3 will be on there, but maybe in a later time though, I'm not exactly 100% sure, because it feels like that the Switch era is almost come to an end, so, at least if I've heard about it anyway, so, although a lot of people got pretty mad about the forms of the F-Zero 99 game, myself included, because I was assuming that we were able to get a true brand new F-Zero game after 20 years, but it seems that it's turned into a Battle Royale game, which I'm a little bit disappointed. So, definitely not my kind of game, especially it's a bit disappointing that I was expecting for a brand new F-Zero game, but... bigger cells can't be choosers, I guess. I'm guessing they just want money, I suppose. But what I found was a little bit surprising too is that for whatever reason, they've never mentioned any of those added new games for the NSO expansion pack either. Like, I almost assumed they were able to bring like a tad bit more. Well, maybe they're trying to save it up specifically until next year for the final hurrah to the Switch itself. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but either way. So, suffice to say, I think we should probably end things off at this point right here, so join me next time for more of Let's Play of Sonic Frontiers, and that's what appears to be about the fact that we still continue exploring through Chaos Island to do, grabbing some more tokens, and maybe we'll battle some more Guardians, essentially, if depending on time. So I'll see you guys until on Monday. Later, fellas.